Got an April 2024 market update for you. A lot of people are finding the market confusing. So why is that? What's so confusing about the market? My name is Feldstein. I'm a real estate advisor with Anglo Volkers Vancouver. If you're thinking about buying, selling, investing, or relocating to Vancouver, or just have questions about our market, all of my contact information is below. Let's start things off looking at the stats from the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver, and I'm going to read you a quote here. It's a feat to see inventory finally climb above 12,000. Many were predicting higher inventory levels would materialize quickly when the Bank of Canada began its aggressive rate hikes, but we're only seeing a steady climb in inventory in the more recent data. Now, this is a quote by the Director of Economics and Data Analytics. The surprise for many market watchers has been the continued strength of demand, along with the fact that few homeowners have been forced to sell in the face of the highest borrowing cost experience in over a decade. Okay, so listings are up. Listings are way up. How many times last year did I hear people saying, there's no inventory, there's nothing to buy? Okay, I don't know how many times, but I heard it a lot. Well, that's not the case now. So are people going to start buying those places? Time will tell. New listings are up 25% compared to the 10-year average, and the total listings are up 42% when compared to April of 2023. That's pretty significant. That's a lot of listings. There's some good product out there. Now, let's dive into the sales a little bit. Not much has changed in sales. So now this is the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver. Okay, so detached sales compared to this time last year are about the same. Same with apartment sales. What has seen an uptick is your townhouse, your attached properties, your townhouse, and your duplexes. Those sales are up 16% compared to this time last year. Okay, let's take a closer look at the Vancouver market because that's where I'm located, starting with East Vancouver, detached properties. Total active listings were 520 and the sales were 117. Condos, 496 total listings, 143 sales, and your townhomes, 112 listings, 28 sales. So what's going to be more interesting about those numbers is the 1 year change. So let's just focus on the sales here. So sales were up 56% compared to April of 2023. So that's good. People are buying up some of this inventory in Vancouver. You can see as I go through this and as I go through Vancouver West, that the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver, those stats, that covers a massive region. So it's very important to hone in on the city that you live in, you're thinking about buying in, your local market, and it's even more important to hone in on the exact neighborhood, property type, and price point. So let's continue on here. So sales were up 56% for detached properties. For your condos, they were up 25%, and for the townhomes, they were up just 3.7%. Okay, so yes, listings were up, but also so were sales. Now, is that the same for Vancouver West? The west side of Vancouver? Not exactly. Detached properties, the total active listings were 600, sales were 90. So those sales, there was less sales than in April of 2023. More listings, but less sales. For condos, there's 1,744 active listings. That was up quite a bit compared to 2023. Sales were 315. That was down 7.1%. And, you know, completely different from East Vancouver. Never mind the amount of listings, but just the difference in sales. East Vancouver, it's a hot market. People want to be there. And then moving into your townhomes, 260 active listings, and there were 49 sales. Now that was up 96%. So to summarize this, East Vancouver, detached properties and your condos were in high demand. And in Vancouver on the west side, your townhomes were in high demand. So let's talk about the market being confusing. Now, I feel like people have been saying that the market's confusing for a very long time. But why? Like, what's so confusing about the market? There's definitely a lot of uncertainty in the market, and that's been the case for quite a while. You know, people are unsure of where interest rates are going. You know, we've got inflation to deal with. The government is imposing tax after tax after tax, it seems. So we've got a new capital gains tax coming in. We've got the restrictions for short-term accommodations being tightened up. I mean, Vancouver, they've always been pretty tight, but in other areas, they're being tightened up a lot. So let's talk about listings here. Now, why are there so many listings all of a sudden? And it seems like most of these listings happened in April. I mean, certainly listings are going to continue to come on the market, and if there's not that many people buying them in certain areas, I mean, clearly we've just identified that people are buying properties in East Vancouver, and they're buying some townhomes on the west side of Vancouver as well, but there's a lot of listings that came on in a pretty short period of time. So why is this? What could be some reasons for this? So there could be some people last year that wanted to move, but are doing it now. And then of course, every day, every week, every month, there's new people entering the market, whether it's buyers or sellers. So maybe just the people now who are ready to make a move are also entering the market. So listings are coming on. The new capital gains could be another reason why properties are coming to market. So for an individual, as an example, I'm not an accountant, I'm not going to get into individuals and corporations. For an individual, as an example, right now, we've got a 50% inclusion rate on the gain. After June 25th, so any deal that closes after June 25th, you'll have a 50% inclusion rate for the first $250,000 of your gain, and then a 66.7% inclusion rate for anything 250 and above. So for some people who have owned a property for a very long time and know that they're gonna have a capital gain of over $250,000, they might be thinking, well, do I want to pay that additional tax, or would now make sense to sell it? Okay, so maybe that's why we're seeing some listings come to market. Mortgage renewals could be another reason why we're seeing some listings, and that just depends. I mean, I think the people that are in a fixed rate mortgage under 2%, I believe most of those were probably entered into in 2021. So, there's still another year left on those people to decide what they want to do. Maybe some people are coming up for renewal and they're not liking the payments, so they're thinking about relocating and that sort of thing, or downsizing or what have you. But all I'm saying is that could be another reason why we're seeing a lot of listings come on the market. And then of course, just life circumstances. Sometimes it's just time to move. Okay, let's look at the buyers. So where are the buyers? I mean, it's clear that East Van has some buyers, but when going back to the stats from the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver, where detached and apartment sales were basically the same compared to this time last year. So where are they? I mean, maybe there's just not that many people that are in a position where they want to move at the minute, or they want to purchase something at the minute. There's some people that are going to be waiting for lower interest rates for one reason or another, which I don't think that's the move, but I've talked about that enough in other videos. But they're out there. It's evident that they're out there, especially when I hone in on Vancouver and East Vancouver, okay? So getting back to the confusing market, I'm not sure that the market is so confusing. And obviously I have a bit of an advantage because I do this for a living, and I've been doing this since 2005. So I've seen some ups and downs. I've seen a lot of changes. But what's similar to me, and I guess why I don't find it that confusing, is, of course, if we're trying to predict the future and the timeline of things, that can be incredibly confusing. How many headlines do we have to read? How many articles do we have to read? That can be really confusing. So I get that part of it. But at the end of the day, our market, it's ever changing and it goes in cycles, and we can have spurts of a seller's market, then spurts in a buyer's market, which I get it. We haven't seen a buyer's market in a long time, but we can see these changes. The one thing that always holds true is predicting the future and timing the market. Most people can't predict the future. We use the past to predict the future, so we can see patterns and we can maybe get a little bit close to it. As far as timing the market, most people who time the market do it by fluke. So ultimately, at the end of the day, people need to do what's best for themselves. Now, if you're sitting here and you're financially ready and you want to buy a property, but you're uncertain of what to do because you just don't know where the market's headed, you're not alone. You're not alone, but you also might not have enough information to make that informed decision. Whenever we're struggling with a decision, it's usually because we don't have enough information. So this is where I come in. If you don't already have somebody looking after you, if you're not already working with a realtor, please reach out. Let's have a conversation. There's absolutely no obligation whatsoever. I'll put a link to my calendar below. I realize you may not know me, but I can promise you this: you'll walk away from the conversation with a little bit more information, hopefully, which will help you make a more informed decision. If you decide you'd like my help further, great. If not, we'll part ways having learned something, maybe gain some perspective. Good luck and hope to speak soon.